Well, hi there. I am Leslie with the St. Johns County Public Library System, and today I have author, historian, preservationist, urban explorer, David Bulit. Hi,
Hey,
how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Pretty chilly today, but fine in general.
Well, here in Florida, I think we're going on an 80-degree day, so spring is here. Um, when I started researching you, the term urban explorer came up, and I'm not that familiar with that. Would you mind explaining what an urban explorer is?
Basically, an urban explorer is someone who wants to explore the areas of society, of urban cities, even rural, that no one ever sees. Sewers, tunnels, um, abandoned buildings, mostly involve abandoned buildings, stuff like that, that people, you drive by every day and you wonder like, I wonder what's inside there, but you just keep on driving. Urban explorers actually want to see what's inside there.
Well, and I had spoken with you that, a lot of these buildings we do drive by, and, some of us are curious about them. We want to know their history, and we want to know about the people that either resided in them or maybe went to school in these buildings. And in our Northeast Florida area, you have written a couple of books, Abandoned Jacksonville. We do own both of these at St. Johns County Public Library System. And then you're from South Florida. So I was able to interlibrary loan Lost Miami. How do you find these structures?
A lot of times there's various ways. I've gotten this question a lot, and people get frustrated when I tell them like there isn't a database or anything of that sort online. You have to actually do the legwork for it. And it's through newspaper articles, through having a network of friends that do the same thing that I do. I have plenty of friends throughout the country that do the same thing, and very close friends that I've made doing this. Satellite images, old property records, and just regular driving around the back roads.
Part of that is you're working to preserve these buildings and make people aware of them. So that does take a lot of research. And I'm just amazed at how thorough your research is.
Yeah, I mean, what I do is kind of like how should I put this? It's hard to balance between raising awareness and not sharing where a place is, because as you know, a lot of these places are abandoned and people don't understand what it means when a place is abandoned. What it means is that it's just vacant, it's empty, unused, deteriorating, whatever. But somebody still owns it. There's always an owner, no matter what. It could be a private owner, it could be state, it could be government, doesn't matter. Somebody owns that property. And a lot of these people think that they can just go in and use it to just vandalize it as their own little playground, stuff like that. So a lot of places have burned down because just too many people visit these places, and you get the one bad person that goes in there and decides to just set the whole place on fire just to see what would happen. So there's many times where there's a lot of locations where I haven't shared where they're at because they are extremely endangered and very at risk of vandalism. But the ones I do have on the site, I don't purposely put their coordinates or definite location just to deter that vandalism as well, but also sharing the history of these places so people are aware why it should be preserved.
Well, it's respect for the property, respect for the property owners. One of the homes that you had featured in Abandoned Jacksonville was, I think, the Horace Drew.
Yes.
And I looked them up recently, and somebody had purchased it and they are renovating it.
Yeah, when I wrote that book, I did an interview at the Drew Manor. The owner who's fixing it up let us go in there and look at the home and do an interview in the home. And they've done quite a lot of work. The photos that you see in the book, it does not look like that anymore. It's completely gutted. It has a new roof on it. So work is being done to it, but slowly. But something is better than nothing.
Well, I thank you for turning us on to that. You know, when I was actually working on another program, we were talking about the Works Progress Administration and all of these buildings that were built during, you know, the 30s and the early 40s to help with the economy. And one of the buildings was in Hastings, Florida, and you had actually featured them on your website. It's going to be it's the site of our new Hastings library. And I just want to pull up that image. So here's your website, Abandoned Florida, and you do have a few websites.
Yep, I have Abandoned Florida, Abandoned Alabama, and then just my personal website, which is davidbulit.com.
Okay. So the Hastings location is right here. And like we had spoken earlier, is sometimes these buildings, structures do get too far along to do anything with them. But it was just great to see something so close to home that you had featured.
Yeah, when I first found it, I didn't know anything much about it. It was, all I thought was, here's a big gutted, completely gutted. It's just a shell of a building with a Red Cross logo. So digging further into it, I was pretty intrigued by the history behind it. And it's sad that they had to demolish it, but for cost purposes, I understand.
Another structure that has kind of been in the news and that was just absolutely gorgeous, the Kellogg Mansion. And that was Dunedin, Florida. Yep. These images, this is just opulence.
Yeah, so it's called the Kellogg Mansion because that's the most prominent owner of the home. But he only lived there for maybe 2 years. It was his winter home. He only stayed there for 2 years because he had an Arabian horse ranch in California, and he had donated the ranch to the university there. And after he saw how they were mismanaging the ranch and the horses there, he decided to not stay or vacation there in California anymore. So he purchased this house pretty much out of spite because he said, okay, you're going to mismanage my ranch. I'm not staying there anymore. So the house actually was built by the person, if I recall, I would have to go back, but the person that actually designed and laid out Dunedin itself. And that was his personal home. And sad that, again, I didn't know about it. People didn't know about it until it was announced that it was being demolished.
I did read that just a few days ago that did take place. But it's one of those homes that such a thought, I think, went into the construction. And you look at these older homes and the woodwork is just so impressive.
Oh, yeah. And it's very sad. A lot of these homes were built out of yellow pine, red pine. And if you know what that is, that type of wood is very sought after because they're protected now. The trees back then, we used to just clear entire forests for them now they're protected. You can't get that wood. The only way you get that wood is salvaging it from buildings that were made from that, or also going down into rivers and freshwater rivers and getting logs and bridges and stuff like that that were made of that wood and salvaging it from there. And it's very sought after.
Well, these are beautiful homes, and we so appreciate you sharing them with us in your books. Now, you recently, maybe last year, moved to Alabama.
Yep.
And have taken up the urban exploring there. And you've got your sister cities. So you've covered quite a few states here.
So I am part of the Abandoned Atlas Foundation as a nonprofit organization. And our goal is to just raise awareness of what I've been doing for the past 12 years, but on a larger scale, just raising awareness and letting people know the history behind these places and why they should be preserved. But instead of just me working on 1-2 states, it's more of a huge collective network of people with that same goal in mind.
Now, if we do own some of your books at our library, but if we have viewers that are interested in purchasing their own copy, where can we do that?
From that I know that anybody can buy them from would be Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and Abandoned Atlas Foundation, which is the direct sales from that goes directly into the foundation.
Well, that's great. And we appreciate that you're the historian and a preservationist and that you're sharing this with us. So thank you.
Thank you for having me here.